Hello there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again looking ahead to Duskmorn today, and another legend caught my eye over the previews of the last week, and it's the Mindskinner Treble Blue for a legendary enchantment nightmare creature. Can't be blocked, and if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent, prevent that damage, and each opponent mills that many cards. It's a 10-1. 3 mana for a 10-1. Downside is it's got no protection whatsoever. There's no ward, no shroud, no hexproof, anything like that, or indestructible. It's just a 10-1 that can't be blocked. However, the ability caught my mind. If a source you control would deal damage to an opponent, prevent that damage, and then each, not just one opponent, each opponent mills that many cards. So in Commander, this means if you've got a load of creatures in play, and you've got an opponent who's got nothing in play, you attack them when the Mindskinner's in play. They take all the damage, they mill that many, well they don't take the damage, they mill that many cards, and so does everybody else. So you're basically milling them out really quite quickly. The downside is, when I looked into it, outside of super big creatures, like the octopuses, leviathans, and so on and so forth, there aren't that many things in blue that are unblockable, and since it's got to be blue, it's got to be this. Then I had a minor brainwave. Not 100% sure it's going to work, but hey, it's a lot of fun trying to make it work, so this is what today's deck looks like. So here we go, and you'll probably be able to work out what the whole deck's going to be about now, because yeah, the easiest creatures in blue to make unblockable are undoubtedly merfolk, and this is where this deck goes. So lots of 1-drops to start with. Benthic Biomancers here do the whole adaptation. Put whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on it, draw and discard. That's fine, but it's a 1/1 merfolk. That's what I'm more interested in at the moment. Coast Trickster's also here. Whenever an opponent shuffles his or her library, it gets bigger with the +1/+1 counter. This one does tend to grow quite quickly in Commander land, so good for us. Merfolk Secret Keeper, yeah, you can do the whole venture if you want to, and make the mill 4 cards that start from their library to the graveyard, and then it becomes a 0/4. Again, not the greatest creature in the world, but it's actually quite a reasonable blocker in the early game. Mistcloak Herald can't be blocked. One of the few merfolk that have this for 1 mana. And then old school, going back to Stronghold, Tidal Warrior to make a land, an island. Now, I've found in more recent games of Commander that there's usually someone playing blue, and there's usually dual lands that have the island type in, so I'm not worried about that. But you do run across like Naya decks, you do run across green-white decks, you do run across red-green decks occasionally in Commander World. No one has islands, so you need to be able to turn something into an island for the rest of this deck to really function. So Tidal Warrior does that, and so does Tide Shaper, especially if you pay it for 2 with the kicker. So a land someone controls becomes an island, but then you get 2/2, so yeah, that's pretty good. Triton Shore Stalker, another one that can't be blocked, so yep, another one we can always get through with. And then the pump ones, so Coral Hell Commander, eventually we'll get this up to a couple of levels up to a flying 3/3, so that's pretty good. And then eventually, if we can get to the whole level 4 plus with the merfolk creatures you control get +1/+1, that helps. The reason I'm so keen on islands, Lord of Atlantis, if you're going to play merfolk, you have to play the Super Lord from back in the day. All merfolk get +1/+1 and have Island Walk, so that's a start. And then Metallic Mimic comes in to make our merfolk bigger, so you choose Mimic as a creature type. Going from there, we've got River Herald Scout, so it does a little bit exploring. Not the end of the world, but it's just another merfolk. River Sneak can't be blocked. Whenever another merfolk enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+1 until the end of the turn. So, yeah, cast a few of your cheap merfolk, make this big, get some more milling done. Shaper Apprentice has flying, as long as we control enough merfolk. Silver Gill Adept, flash it off and draw a card. Thieving Skydiver, go and nick. Kicker is important on this one, because then you can nick someone's Soul Ring, someone's Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, anything like that works really well. But we really don't forget we're playing this, we want the merfolk so we can make them unblockable. Imala Tangler, also another merfolk. These just go through. Coupler, Warden of the Waves, makes our merfolk a little bit harder to target, so they do stand around a little bit longer, which is nice. The Coral Mersmith just pumps up, and then when it dies we get to scry 2. The Sovereign's here to pump our merfolk up and make an merfolk unblockable if it hasn't already got it. Regery is here. Other merfolk creature you control get +1/+1, and when you play a merfolk spell you may tap or untap target permanent. Thadia is also in as well, just to go and nick artifacts when he gets through, and it's got Island Walk naturally, so that does kind of help. And then the first of our non-merfolk creatures, Thassa's in, purely because you can pay a 1 and a blue to make something unblockable, or for a turn, which can be very helpful with this deck. Waterwind Scout enters the battlefield, get a map token. It's a 3 mana 2/2 with flying, and gives us a map. I'll cover that. Wave Crasher Triton. Whenever you cast a spell that targets, we don't have anything that targets it, but it's just another good blocker early in the game. 1/4 gets bigger, hard to remove. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. The mono blue deck from last week featured Eluge, and Eluge is back today because it gives us a really good way of making someone's islands on the other side of the board permanent with the flood counter on it, as long as we keep Eluge in play, is my understanding. And cutting down the cost of our instants and sorceries. Not something we're particularly worried about. We just want to make sure that the opponent's got islands, basically. So, hey, that's what it does. Herald of the Secret Streams. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them can't be blocked. Works very nicely with our Metallic Mimic. Talaran Skydance Summoner. I thought we might have this in here. We do have a few instants and sorceries, but it's another merfolk, and if we get a couple of drakes at some stage, all well and good, but we're not focused on this too much today. Mist Dancer pumps all our merfolk up and gives them flying, and then we can encore it back if we need to. This one's fantastic. This is one of the key ones you want to keep around, because giving all our merfolk flying really does make this deck a lot more functional, believe me. Seascaped Aerialist. You may have allied creatures you control gain flying to the end turn. Yeah, well, not many allies, but again, another reasonable merfolk. And then Shipwreck Doser comes in just to return some of our instants and sorceries. And then the Prowess, then it's a 3/3, it's probably the biggest base merfolk we have in the deck, so it's here for this fun and games today. Like I said, I'm not overly worried about instants and sorceries. I know Tower and people are saying, oh, you should be playing more, but I just went with these few. We don't need more than this. We've got Shore Up to give us some hexproof protection for our Mindskinner once it's in play, along with Counterspell to stop the annoying stuff, Cyclonic Rift to deal with the board. Glint also gives hexproof to the Mindskinner if we need it. Lazartop Plating does it as well. Mana Drain controls the horrible spells coming and hopefully gives a big mana bump if we need it. Fractured Sanity just helps us with our mill plan. Another 3 mana card, each opponent mills 14, and even if we have to cycle this, each opponent mills 4, so one way or the other we do get them. Aetherize to get rid of all the attacking creatures that are coming at us. Ensign Tactics, for each creature your opponents control, create a cursed roll token attached to that creature. That's quite nice. It can drop you from okay, it's a sorcery, but it drops all the big powerful creatures down to 1/1s. Just have to be careful of the +1/+1 counters that some of them may have. And Ether Spouts just puts all the attacking creatures away again on the top of the bottom. Now we do have a lot of artifacts for a change. Because Mindskinner only costs 3 mana, as you can see up above me here, Jeweled Lotus is a no-brainer in this deck. You can theoretically do on turn 1. I'm not suggesting you do this on turn 1, by the way. Probably not the best time to play this Mindskinner. Feel free to put Jeweled Lotus out on turn 1. That's fine, but you don't want to cast the Mindskinner at that stage because it's just easily gotten rid of, and you need to get some of the other stuff I'm now talking, or have mana up to chuck up a Shore Up on it or something or other. What you're much better doing is just holding it and doing when you can. But Mox Tantalite's here. I didn't go with the other usual suspend card because this one produces coloured mana, the other one doesn't. And then we've got Elixir of Immortality as usual to shuffle everything back in. And some of the key things we need to get in come next. We want to make sure we've got the boots of some description or other ready to go and on the Mindskinner. So we've got Soul Ring, Sapphire Medallion, Sky Diamond as a bit of ramp. Champion's Helm is also here. That's another one we want to try and get into play early if we can to protect the Mindskinner with when we cast the Mindskinner. So maybe cast this turn 3, cast Mindskinner turn 4 and equip if you've got 4 lands. Bear that in mind. Herald's Horn names Merfolk, obviously, along with Icon of Ancestry names Merfolk. Patchwork Banner's quite good fun. This comes in from Bloomborough itself. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1, so another one you name Merfolk on. Door of Destinies is Merfolk, Vanquisher's Banner is Merfolk, and then the Obelisk of Ood again is Merfolk. So you can make your Merfolk really quite big with these cards. Well, these ones anyway. So, yeah, get that mill damage on the go. We do have some enchantments. We have Deep Root Pilgrimage. Whenever one or more non-token Merfolk you control become tapped, you get another Merfolk with hexproof, which is nice. Merrow Commerce, until at the end of your turn, we get to untap all the Merfolk. Deep Root Waters, cast Merfolk, get 1/1 with hexproof. Propaganda to help us protect ourselves. Mystic Study for some extra card draw. And then a couple of things you wouldn't be expecting to see. Aquatic Incursion comes back in from Rivals of Ixalan, if I remember correctly, and then gives us a 3-mana sync to make target Merfolks unblockable. Kindred Discovery, choose a creature type, enters the battlefield, or attacks, draw a card. So, obviously, Merfolk. And Reflections of Litigara. As Reflections of Litigara enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, Merfolk. And whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, copy that spell. So all your Merfolk up here with this out. I know it's 5 mana, so I know it's difficult, not the easiest thing to ramp into. But with that out, just imagine all the Merfolk up here you can copy. Yeah. Anyway, lands. Nothing overly fancy. Broker's Hideout, Castle Vantress, Fable Passage, Flooded Strand. We have cheated a little bit with some of the dual lands to go and get things out. But we have dropped in Rogue's Passage just to help us get something through if we need to. Yeah. Eluge, I'm looking at you for some reason. Then we've got Nykthos here, so we're playing a mono deck. There's no point not having it. Mikko, Synth of the Sea. I just like giving everybody a bit of card draw. Also helps with the mill plan, sort of. Very slowly, but it does help. They are everyone's drawing an extra card, and you're trying to mill people out. So slowly. And then obviously the theatres lands from Streets of New Capella gives me a live 24 islands, and like I said, nothing too fancy at all, but that's it. That's my first take on the Mindskinner. Yes, I know there's not any other Bloomborough cards in. There may be other things we need to add in one Bloomborough once I've finally gone through the whole set, but this I think is going to be my starting point for my take on the Mindskinner, so I hope you've enjoyed it. 515 of you now subscribe here on YouTube, so thank you ever so much for that. Appreciate it. If you're first time here, lovely, you could hit the subscribe button, that'd really be good. If you want to see me play the Mindskinner when we can get hold of it on MTGO, there's a link down below to Twitch, come and give me a follow over there. Had a couple of people join me yesterday, so I popped my target for this year on that as well of 250, so I'm at 251 now, so I thought let's try and get to 300 by the end of the year. So if you want to see me play these decks on Twitch, down below for that. Anything you think I've really missed out in this deck, let me know in the comments, and I'll respond as soon as I can. So now, thanks for watching, take care. I'll see you tomorrow going back to Bloomborough. Take care, bye.